Okay, welcome to the next class. This next section, we are going to be looking at displaying graphics and CSS3 animations. Now, in the last class, we were able to deal extensively on various CSS properties and values that we could use to handle text. We looked at things like font size, font family, text align, text indent, line height, text with the various properties of line height and etc, padding and all of that. What we're looking at was text, but sometimes the information is never complete until an image or a graphic comes into the picture. That's why we're going to be looking at displaying graphics and CSS through what? Animations. Now, enhancing user experience through image visual controls, aspect ratio preservation, responsive scaling, keyframe animations, and mobile web styling what? Strategies. Now, when it comes to building websites or any application at all, there are two things that the end user that you must be concerned about, because these two things affect the end user, and they are as follows. We have the two things are the user interface and the user experience. The user interface is talking about the look of your app, just the general look of your app, how your app looks like. I mean, every one of us, Google looks very simple. Okay, Google looks very, very simple. You can come to Google. Google takes you straight to what you are looking for. If I go to google.com, straight up, I'm brought up with a search page. Just have the logo here, a search page, two buttons. I'm feeling lucky. Google search, AI mode was just introduced, and then you now have offered in different languages. You just have that. So this is just the user interface. Then the user experience is talking about how the user feels about your application. Like now, one of the things that user experience considers is like, now if I want to type latest, you can see what Google is doing over there. News on in Nigeria today. Are you getting me? When you see how they are giving, this is an example of user what? Experience. Yes, that's a very good example of what user experience is talking about, how a user feels about your app. It's no longer talking about the beauty of your interface, but it's talking about the feeling a user gets from your app. How does a user get satisfied when they are using your app? Now, we can enhance user experience through image visual controls, like allowing users to manipulate images on our web pages. We can also do that through aspect ratio preservation, whereby if an image is landscape, it does not matter where it appears, let it remain landscape. Because you know that if you take an image that is landscape and go and make it to appear portraits on your website, it's going to cut off some important information from the site. This is something that we must take note of. And if you take a portrait image and put it on a landscape element, if you put it there, it's going to have dark corners at the right or empty spaces. So you must be able to preserve the aspect ratio, meaning that you must preserve, if it's a portrait image, let it remain portrait all through. If it's a landscape image, let it remain landscape all through. Perfect. Responsive scaling, meaning that ability of your images and your graphics to adjust based on the screen size. Are we together? To adjust what? Based on what? The screen size, based on the screen they are currently finding themselves on. That's what I mean by responsive what? Scaling. Then we have keyframe animations, ability to animate various CSS properties. Yes, I told you CSS3 was able to introduce the ability to animate elements and to animate CSS properties in CSS. Yes, and then and then we have mobile web styling strategy. Now the first thing we need is graphic formatting, insertion, sizing, and what? Padding. Web graphics require formatting for dynamic what? Layouts without aspect ratio what? Distortion. Yes, perfect. Web graphics on the internet require what? Formatting for dynamic layouts, meaning that they should be able to adjust on different screens. If it's on a smart TV, it should adjust accordingly. If it's on a phone, it should adjust accordingly. If it's on a smartwatch, adjust accordingly. But most importantly, the aspect ratio must not be what? Distorted. If it's a 16:3 aspect ratio, it has to remain that way across the board, but at the same time still look good. Okay, now this is an example. Let's look at some controls in CSS that we use to achieve some of these very, very peculiar properties. Okay, now take a look at this. Now we have img, of course. If you look at in our last class, we had the img. You can see the img elements here when you want to integrate an image, and I had to point it to src, that's the source. I had to use it to point to the location of where my image is located so that the web browser or the web server can find it here. So img will say max width equal to, okay, let's use the one here. Okay, so we say max width equal to 100%. We have used max width before, and then what I told you that max width is talking about the maximum, how wide, what is the maximum width a particular thing can take. Yeah, max width 100% is perfect, and it prevents what horizontal what overflow. Mean that if the image is too large, okay, let's say it's a very large image. If the image is too large, if it enters a small screen, instead of the user to have to scroll to the right, you know, keep scrolling to the right to see the end of the image, that way the user can never see the full image. It is better with the help of max width equal to 100%, the image will compress itself and arrange itself to remain at the exact width of the user screen size. Height auto, yeah, maintains the visual aspect ratio. So like with the help of height, the height is not usually a problem when it comes to websites, but width is always a problem. But height auto means that it should adjust properly to the height of that particular image, should adjust properly to anywhere it finds itself. And then we now have display ratio block. Display ratio block means that it should be displayed inside a square. Are you getting me? It should be displayed inside what? A square. That's the job of display ratio block. Now, card graphic container with object fits. Dot avatar hyphen frame, we say width equal to what? 200 pixel. Okay, then you can also declare strict width for your images. This is, of course, I don't need to tell us again that this is a class. Dot avatar hyphen frame is what? A class. And then width 200 pixel. The height is what? 200 pixel. Padding is 5 pixel. Okay, now when we talk of padding, we're talking of the internal margin, yeah, between elements inside that same, if it's a block, if it's a container element, or if it's a container element, not a standalone element. And then when I have padding, that's for padding. Border 2 pixel, we already know what border is. Then you know the use of border radius, that it helps to, you know, give us some kind of unique shapes. That's to bevel. Yeah, the graphic word is to use the word bevel the edges. Are we together? To bevel what? The edges of a particular element, HTML element or graphic. And then of course background color, to give it a background color. Dot avatar hyphen frame hyphen I dot img. That's now we have styled the class. Now this is another thing you must understand. When you are trying to optimize your images for mobile, beyond styling the class where that image belongs to, you should also style the image itself. Are you getting me? Yes, also style the image itself. So now you say dot avatar hyphen frame img. Now we're styling the image inside that particular class known as dot avatar frame. This is an example of nested tag selection that we do in CSS. And we say width 100%, height 100%, object fit cover, meaning that you should not repeat. You should fit it properly and only have one version all throughout. So we say crops image what? Cleanly without what? Distortion. If we crop the image properly and there will be no distortion. And of course border radius equal to what? 50%. Then CSS3 aspect ratio utility. This is useful for only videos. Yeah, this particular property is only for videos. We don't use it for images that much. So you say width 100%, like I told you, always use it. Now we are dealing with optimized websites. So for mobile optimization, as much as possible, put your width in percentage and your height. Yes. For most importantly, don't worry. In the next class, I'll give us the golden rule, the golden rules in CSS for mobile optimization. I'll give us that in the next class. That will be the first nugget that we're going to pick in the next class before we progress. Okay. Before we progress. Okay. So width 100, we are going to say dot video container, and we have width what? 100%. Aspect ratio 16 what? Ratio 9. There are various aspect ratio. We have 4:3 aspect ratio, 16:9 aspect ratio, 4:3 aspect ratio. There are various aspect ratios that we have, but the most popular and the best is 16:9. That's 16 divided by 9. And then background color equal to black. So these are just some of the properties. Of course, we can't run this now, but at least we need to show you this so that we can move on to see when we enter the classwork for this particular topic. We can know how we manipulate it, and then we explain better. You can see all of these things live in action. Now CSS3 keyframe animation and hardware selected transforms. We say CSS3 animation replace legacy JavaScript visual script with declarative keyframe sequences, and hardware accelerated transformations. Scale, rotate, translate, and skew. So the purpose of keyframe is just to create animations in CSS. Like I told us initially, CSS did not, HTML did not have ability to support animations native, but JavaScript was used to support animations initially. Yeah, JavaScript was used to support animations. It was used to do animations on web pages if you needed to use animations, or Java applets as it was in those days. But now it is no more like that. Like that, CSS3 has come in and made sure that we no longer, you don't need to know JavaScript to do simple animations on your web page. Except you want to do some slightly more complex kind of animations, which there's hardly any animation you want to do that you will need anything outside what CSS has given you, because CSS allows you to animate every single one of the CSS properties that exist. It allows you to animate all. So you can see what we have here. Define keyframes. Now the way it works, this is how it works. You have to first define the keyframes. Let me show you something. When you are trying to do animations in CSS, you have to first define what? The keyframes. The first thing is keyframes post glue. You can see what we have here. At 0%, because this post, now when we're talking on scale is talking, what we want to animate right now is size. That's width. That's the size of something. That's what we want to animate. So we say at keyframe post glue, and this post glue is a name that you give by yourself. Yes, you are going to see where we're going to reference. You can call it Prince glue. You can call it at keyframes Prince Will Tech Mastery. You can call it at keyframes Prince Will Prince. You know, you can give it any name. Any name can work for this post glue, but we just call it post glue for the purpose of this class. And then you give it the different stopping points. Now, just like you know, if any of you have worked with any animation software in the past, like After Effects, Cinema 4D, and the rest, it is also the same pattern. You show how something will work at a particular point, slightly make a variation on that same particular movement or whatever it is at a second point, like that. That's exactly what is happening here. So at 0%, we say transform the scale, and we say 1. Box shadow, we have this. At 50%, transform scale like this, rotate it to 2 degrees, and box shadow, you have this. These are colors. And then at 100%, this is what you should do. And that is exactly what we just declare the various top points. You can even still have it at 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%, like that until you get to 100%. But most importantly is that you have to know the various stop points and know the particular thing you want to animate. Now look at this. The CTA button, this is the button. I think we should just try this out and see what this animation is going to create. Let's clear everything we have here. Okay, you can leave the feature card. Let's just clear everything here. Let's quickly create a button. Let's just quickly create a button. So we say button class equal to, let's quickly see what is going to happen here. We'll call it CTA-button. Class is equal to CTA-button. Okay, yeah, and I'm going to say check me out. Okay, and then we'll close the button. Okay, let's just stop there. Yeah, that's all. I just want us to practicalize this slightly so you can understand what we are saying. Of course, it's already styled, so I don't need to really do anything much on it any longer. Yeah, the only new style we introduce here is cursor. Yes, you can actually change the way the cursor will appear when it enters that particular HTML element, but this is not something you need right now. You hardly will make use of that. I like to teach people what they will use in real life so you can get into the field and begin to make me proud. Yeah, so now you see here we have animation post glue. That's the name that we gave there. Yes, now look at it. Animation shorthand, name, duration, timing function, delay, iteration count. Are you seeing it? This is the syntax of how it works. Iteration count and direction field hyphen what mode. So the shorthand, the name of the animation is post glue, like we have here. You see why I told that it could be any name. These are not the default names of CSS. These are names that you create by yourself. I call it post glue. And then the next thing is the duration, that it should last for 2.5 seconds. Okay, I think I want to make this 3.5 seconds. Okay, so it can be quite noticeable. And then infinite, we are trying to say it should continue without ending. Yeah, I'm trying to say it should continue without what ending. Then we finally have the that's what we call infinite iteration can. Then direction field hyphen mode, meaning that it should ease in and out. Then we now have transition, transform 0.3 seconds ease, and then background color 0.3 seconds is. Transition is just talking of how it moves from stage 1 to stage 2. Yes, perfect. How the animation moves from stage 1 to stage 2. Then we have the CTA hyphen button over, background color is this. Then a smooth CSS transition, we have transform, translate hyphen y minus 3 pixel. That means we are going to adjust it a little. Now let's just see what we have here. Let's just see what happens. You see what is happening? You see what is happening? Yeah, the animation we created has already taken place. You can see, if you take notes now, you can see it is blinking, coming out, like that, just like that, and it is turning. And when you bring your mouse on it, it also works. Okay, so that is how CSS animations work. Yes, yes, you have to create the animation with a name and references when you get to the animate property, and that is it. And for you to set up now, I have a cheat sheet which I'll make available to us later about lots of animations in CSS3. Honestly, you will not regret it. I'm going to make that available to us in the next class. Now, CSS on mobile devices, ensuring fluid responsive rendering across varying viewports using media queries, relative length units, and mobile touch targets. Now, this is just talking about the ability of CSS3 to, manipulate, to work differently on mobile devices. And we have a couple of things that have been introduced. Of course, this is just a normal styling. This mobile first based touch target standard, button a.navlink. Navlink is a class in the anchor setting, and we say mean height 44 pixel, mean width, just the same way you have max height and max width that we have used in the past. We also have max, mean height, and mean width. The minimum it can be, you see 44 pixel, 44. I will say display inline hyphen flex, align hyphen items, align the items to the center, enter, that's horizontally. When you use this is used to now align hyphen items is used to align elements. They are not used to align text. When you want to align text, you use text hyphen align, but to align elements, you use align hyphen items. Yes. And then justify hyphen content, you use justify hyphen content to align content vertically. When you align a content horizontally, you also need to be able to align it vertically to achieve a properly stacked layout that will be easy to be used on mobile. Now, this is where we begin to do some manipulation. This is what CSS3 introduced, ability to query devices based on their screen size and make certain adjustments to our code. You can see at media screen and max width 768 pixel. We're talking of tablet viewports. Any device that is 768 pixel and below will take this style. Why? What are the styles? The font size will be 14 pixel. The hero header, that's maybe the banner, welcoming banner of the website, is going to carry a padding of 15 pixel, and the text hyphen align is going to be center. Okay, the CTA button, call to action button, is going to be width 100%. Of course, on mobiles, it's always good to put buttons to be at a width of 100%. And then margin top, we should have a 10 pixel margin. Yeah, that's a margin at the top. And then of course we close that. You can see how this is opened, right? You open it, and then each of your properties, you open them individually. Please take note of all these syntaxes. That's why I always add my manual, so that it can help you to follow up on each of these syntaxes. You can see the codes for yourself, and it won't be like something was done in the video that you could not follow up with after the class. Okay, and then we have at media screen and max width 480 pixel, meaning that smartphones that are 480 pixel and below, this is going to be they are going to carry this with the avatar frame. This avatar frame might be an image of an avatar, will be width 120 pixel and height 120 pixel. Of course, this will not be very noticeable. We only style one thing, so no need. You can't read it, but I needed you to see this media queries. We refer to this as media queries. You can still go further and do more and more, but these are the most popular: 768 pixel, 480 pixel. These are usually the standard, the most popular sizes that you find for mobile devices. Yes. That's in terms of width, because that is what is most important. Now, let us be able to truly understand what we are doing. Let's look at our classwork. Okay. Now, and in our classwork, we're going to take this. We have, like I told you, I've made sure that this manual will also be available to everyone. So we'll come here and we go. Of course, I have it here. I have that, and then we now have our CSS. So we also have our CSS. Now take a look at our HTML here. We have div class equal to spinner-container. Of course, I don't need to talk about classes again and again and again, because I've spoken very well about classes. Yeah, but first of all, let's see the effect of what we did. Refresh this page now. You can see something. I believe you have seen this happening a lot in so many websites that you have gone to when something is trying to load. And then we have div class equal to what? Spinner. Okay, you could initially need JavaScript to do this, but now it's possible to make it done, get it done in CSS. So the first thing is we first work with spinner-container, the div that is carrying the main spinner that we want to use, and we say display ratio flex. Don't worry, in the next topic that we're going to be looking at, the next section, we're going to understand about this layout, in CSS. So display ratio flex, justify content type in center. Like I told you, when justifying elements, you do not use the justifying content is used to align elements vertically, to arrange them vertically, not horizontally. To align them what? Vertically. Padding 20 pixel. Of course, I say that is the internal spacing. Margin is the external, that is the outer. Padding is the what? Inner. Then dot spinner, and in the dot spinner I have width 50 pixel, height 50 pixel. The spinner is now, we're now looking at the main spinner. Okay, if you look over here, we're looking at the main spinner class. This main spinner class, we're now beginning to work on the main spinner class that we want to work with. Okay, yeah, that is going to actually be displaying what we want to display. So I have width equal to 50 pixel, height equal to 50 pixel. We now say border 5 pixel solid, with this color. Yeah, this color, this is a shade of blue, but I think we can just also manipulate it also. I'm a very big fan of red, so let's change this to red. Let us see what will happen. What are we going to get if we do that? No. Do we notice? Let's see. We're going to have any changes. Okay, you can see what's happening there as it's moving. Yeah, that's exactly what is happening there. So we have border hyphen this, we have that, and then we should use the same thing here so that it will be the same color. We have border hyphen top. Let's use the same thing there, so that way we will not have red and blue. Okay, you see, you will not notice that it is spinning again if you do that. So what do? We do Ctrl Z. Let's take it back to how it was before, and yeah, let's take it back to how it was before, and just leave it that way. It's not still bad. It's also our own uniqueness. This way you will know it is actually turning around. Yes, and then you move further to border hyphen radius. Of course, you know what border hyphen radius does for us. When you use 50% border radius, it gives a complete circle. Yeah, an oval or a complete circle. Then animation ratio spin 1 second linear infinite. Now this is the beauty of CSS, unlike programming language like Java and the rest. You see, we have not even created the animation here, but we have already used it. So we can now come down and create it. So you can see at keyframe spin, same name as here, and we say 0% transform, rotate 0 degree, that's at the beginning is 0 degree. At 100% transform and rotate what? For 360 degree. We all know that the degree of a circle is 360 degrees. That's a complete circle. So that is how it works. So 100%, and that's how we're able to achieve this beautiful animation that we have here. This can keep turning forever and ever. We usually use this when we are doing a website and once when a user clicks a link, they want to know that the link is loading, and then it opens the next part. We use this very often. This is something I actually have a cheat sheet for you of all the various CSS3 of over 200, over 500, over 200 CSS3 animations. It's going to be available on Seller. I just prepared it not too long ago. It's going to be available for everyone to buy on Seller at a very cheap price, just as low as 1,500 naira. It will be available. You can get it on Seller, and you can have a recipe. It's like a cheat sheet on CSS3 animations, lots and lots and lots of CSS3 animations, and how you can achieve them. It's just a cookbook. You know, when we buy books, when we buy cookbook, we just know how to prepare jollof rice. It tells you the ingredients and then tells you how to go about it, the step-by-step process, how to prepare meat pie. You know, those kind of, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's titled the CSS3 Animation Cookbook. Yeah, that's the name. CSS3 Animation Cookbook. That's the title, the name of that. We're going to go all the way from simple animations to very much more complex animations with recommendations on where you should apply these animations. Yes, and then of course for mobile optimization we have at media max width equal to 600 pixel. When the media is 600 pixel, for us to test that, you come here. When you come here, let you see if that will work. More tools, go to developer tools. This is my Google Chrome now, but every browser has a developer tools section. You click here. We click here. We're trying to see how this site will be on mobile. So you say responsive. No, so it's responsive already. I was trying to see this height, this width. Okay, this height. So let's see. Did you just get this height and width? Okay, this is the width. So let's do 600 pixel and see what will happen. Let's see. You see, it is still working as it's supposed to work at 600 what pixel. Okay, so that's just what I'm trying to show us there. 35 pixel height, 35 pixel border width, 3 pixel, and this is exactly how it is done. And so that gives us this beautiful, good looking, you know, spinner that we are seeing. This is very popular. We must have seen it in so many websites. This is just how it is achieved through the help of CSS3 animations, no longer JavaScript as it used to be in those days. Till the next section, and I catch you there. Have a lovely day. Thank you.